Idaho Matters podcast is brought to you by St. Luke's On Demand Virtual Care, which allows patients to see a provider from their home using a computer or smartphone with on demand care for common ailments such as a cough, sore throat, or a sinus issue. More information at stlukesonline.org.
Love Boise State Public Radio podcasts? They are free to enjoy, but not free to produce. If you can give, your support helps keep shows like Idaho Matters and Scandalize available to everyone. Donate now at boisestatepublicradio.org.
From the studios of Boise State Public Radio News, I'm Samantha Wright, filling in for Jim Gaudette, and this is Idaho Matters. It's April, and that means it's time to plant things like cabbage and broccoli, while sowing seeds for carrots and lettuce. And it's time to be thinking about your dream kitchen garden. If you want to eat better, grow your own veggies, and maybe live sustainably. But what goes into a kitchen garden? Veggies? Herbs? Flowers? Should it be a raised bed? Maybe straight in the ground? Jamie Brennan is back to answer our questions. She's the founder of Gold Feather Gardens. It's a company she started up during the COVID pandemic, and she's held our hand through the seasons from winter to high summer, and she's back to help us build a kitchen garden. Hi, Jamie. How you doing today?
I'm great. Thank you for having me.
All right, let's talk about kitchen gardens. What kind of things make up a kitchen garden? Is it very individual?
Yeah, so our kitchen gardens are raised beds that are filled with high quality soil and a diverse array of plants from veggies to herbs to flowers. So really, a kitchen garden is something that you would grow. Doesn't have to be a big space. It can be a small space, but it's just supplementing what you use in the kitchen every day.
And you've got some real simple questions we should be asking ourselves before we get started with a kitchen garden. Like, what is your main reason for wanting to grow a kitchen garden? So what are some of the reasons and why are they important?
Absolutely. So we always start with our why. I know that it's something a lot of people aspire to do is to have a kitchen garden, but it's important to have a solid reason why, because it can be a season full of ups and downs. So for us, one of the biggest reasons is to eat more healthfully or more seasonally, just really trying to find a way to eat with the seasons for maximum nutrition and health reasons. And another huge reason we see often is just to add some beauty and awe in your backyard space where you might have grass or trees or a lot of perennial plants, but a kitchen garden can also be a really beautiful aspect. And then the sustainable reasons are another huge one. Obviously, grocery prices are super high. Shopping at the farmer's market can be expensive too. So being able to save on things like herbs and lettuces, it's a really easy way to grow some of your own foods.
Well, I know one of the other questions you ask is how much space do you have or do you need to have a kitchen garden? Can you do it in a very small space?
Yeah, I live on a tenth of an acre, very small lot, very low footprint here. And I have just a 2 foot by 7 foot by 2 foot tall raised bed that I grow all of our herbs and salad greens and spinaches and onions in. That's kind of my focus for the spring. And then in the summer, we grow a ton of our tomatoes and green beans and things in there. But for us, what we see a lot of is people with really shallow raised beds all around town. Like 4 by 8 by 1 feet tall is probably the most common one we see. And you can actually grow the same amount of food in a bed that's half that size, but twice as tall. It's the same amount of lumber. It's just a couple more cuts for a 2 by 4 by 2 foot tall bed.
Wow. I like that you can do it in a small space so you can really,
Mhm.
branch out. Um, so let's talk about planting. And I want to, before we get started in that, can we talk about the Treasure Valley version of the Farmer's Almanac wisdom? It's the old, it's the old adage,
Oh
not
boy.
not to plant anything until the snow is off of Schaefer Butte. I grew
Yes.
up with that. Is that
Yes.
really true?
So that adage comes with a huge asterisk. So you shouldn't plant your tomatoes or cucumbers or things that should be in the warm season, as we call it. So really your summer garden should not be planted until the snow is off of Schaefer Butte, because that's usually our average last frost comes once the snow has melted off of Schaefer Butte. This year has been super funky. A lot of people are like, with the weather we had the last few weeks, can we plant tomatoes early? And I keep saying, you can, but you need to have protections in place. And really, I would just wait, because we could have an event like yesterday when there's 20 inches on Schaefer Butte overnight.
Yep.
So for us, we like to try to educate folks that the cool season of veggie planting starts in February. So we started planting lettuces, spinach, kale, broccoli, cauliflower, onions in February. And we do that until May. And then in May, we plant our tomatoes, cucumbers, melons, things like that for kind of that Mother's Day season.
Oh, that is awesome. We're speaking with Jamie Brennan, the founder of Gold Feather Gardens, about planting a kitchen garden this year. I was looking around on your website, and I was looking at what should I be planting in April. You mentioned some of them, broccoli, cabbage, cauliflower. These are the kinds of things that can handle some of those crazy events when we have them, right?
Yes, they can handle like around freezing temperatures. If we dip below, below 28 and below, so in the 20s, the plants, especially new transplants, can struggle. So we have little hoops and covers on a lot of our beds that we take off in the spring. And I just kind of keep them in the garage for events like this, where I can throw the cover back on the bed if it's going to be below 30. But for the most part, they can handle those little dips. It's just the extended time period under freezing.
Well, I know kitchen gardens, when I think of a kitchen garden, I think of herbs, because you want herbs to cook with in the kitchen. That's in my garden, my, dream kitchen garden. So what can I be planting into either the ground or my raised bed when it comes to herbs versus herbs that should be like in a pot?
Yeah, so I like to either have, like, outside of my patio, we have these big pots next to our barbecue that have everything in the mint family, is like your oregano, your thyme, the things that get really big, your marjoram, things like that, versus your cilantro, parsley, dill, those more tender herbs. I like to keep those in my kitchen garden beds because I have to replant them over and over again. You can kind of think of them as annuals versus your more perennial herbs. The woodier type herbs are really nice in a pot, or even sage and rosemary, they do well in the ground as well.
Gotcha. And is it true you should try to keep mint in a pot because it might take over?
Yes, it will take over. Mint and lemon balm, they're kind of the strong warriors in that mint family. Oregano, rosemary, thyme, they will get really big too. So I like to keep them in their own area. Sage as well. Just so that you can sort of start with a clean slate every time you're planting. We practice intensive planting, so our beds are always full of things, but that means we're consistently pruning things back, especially our herbs, to really be able to use them and dry them out. So I like to keep my woodier perennial herbs in separate pots if I have a small space, and then keep my more annual tender herbs, cilantro, dill, parsley, inside the beds.
So I've got just over a minute left. What
Mhm.
do you say to someone who's not sure if they want to start a kitchen garden or if they've never had one before? What do you say to folks?
Start small. Start with herbs. Herbs are the lowest point of entry. They require the least amount of space, the least amount of sun or care, and they can have a real big impact on your budget and your health and the way that you cook, of just always having fresh herbs. And then I tell people to try to grow their own greens, because spinach and lettuce is just so much healthier for you the closer it's grown. And you're more likely to eat it if it's just outside your patio versus rotting in your fridge crisper.
Tastes better too, right? We haven't even talked about that.
100%. Yes, exactly.
Wow, this has been great. I want to thank you so much for giving us some kitchen garden tips this year. This has been wonderful.
Yeah, thank you for having me, as always.
We've been speaking with Jamie Brennan, the founder of Boise's Gold Feather Gardens, about planting a kitchen garden this year. We're going to put some links up on our website, so check them out, boisestatepublicradio.org.
And thanks so much for listening to Idaho Matters from Boise State Public Radio. Do you have thoughts about today's episode? Make sure you email us at idahomatters@boisestate.edu or reach out on our socials. And if this episode meant something to you, text it to a friend.
If you like podcasts like this, explore more from the Boise State Public Radio podcast family. There you'll find a mix of daily news, Idaho Voices, and in-depth series on a wide range of topics. I'm talking wild horses, political scandals, sustainable ranching, and militia groups in a post-January 6th world. Wherever you get your podcasts, just search Boise State Public Radio to find what Idaho's NPR station has in store for you.